Ayo, I'm Tits,
Hey, and I'm Areolas.
and today we're doing Whiplash. What's your first exposure
Whiplash.
to Whiplash?
This is my actually I've heard of it for so long, but I had never watched it. This is my first time
Ooh,
watching it.
that's fun.
What about
Uh,
you?
you know, the first time I heard of it, I was in band, and my jazz band teacher was like, "You should definitely check out Whiplash. It captures the true jazz spirit." And I didn't really see Whiplash until like several years later, but I do know it's a well respected movie within the music community.
Yeah, I'd seen like the memes about it, like the bongo cat memes and the throwing of the symbol and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I like that just for that. And I was like, I bet you already know what this movie's about. Especially growing up like in the days when like teachers could be really hard on their students. Now
Yeah.
kids are like pussies. Like you can't do that shit or a teacher will get sued. But back when I was growing up, you could in athletics or band make the fucking kids like do so much shit, just haze them.
Yeah, it's the environment in which we have there's a guy, he's a jazz drummer. His name is Andrew. He goes to a prestigious school
Hmm.
for musicians, and he's like, "I'm the toppest musician ever. I'm the bestest of the bests." And he goes to the school, and he's like looking at the band, and it's like a competition, and I part of me is like feeling nervous for him, because whenever there's like competition, I always feel a little bit nervous even if I know I'm going to win. So something like that, I kind of feel like that for Andrew. He walks in, he's like, "Oh, there's like a bunch of people, and there's some drummers, and they're trying to compete for the spot that I want." He's like,
Hmm.
he's looking to, what is it, audition. He's auditioning for the spot.
Yeah, for whatever that band is ran by the dude that J.K. Simmons is playing. What's his name? Tanner? No, not Tanner. Uh, Fletcher.
Yes, Fletcher.
Yeah, Fletcher. There we go. Tanner is like another drummer, I think. Yeah, Fletcher's like a prestigious, I guess, not composer. He's like a jazz musician slash conductor, and they all want to be a part of his band. Like it's the elite of the elite.
Yeah, but the elite of the elite gets you this. We have a man who will single out a mistake and then berate that person for making that mistake. Um like this freaking Andrew's going too slow during one of the songs, and well, let's just throw a symbol at you because you're going too slow. Actually, go faster. He just keeps on throwing things. It's funny, but it's also like, uh this guy really cares. He cares so much that he's going to throw symbols and things at students to make them do better.
And I mean, it kind of makes sense. And I'm coming from the old school ways where like you're not going to get any response or learn something if you don't get spanked or you don't get shocked. Like so that's the
Yeah.
only way someone will learn. Like, oh, you want to learn how to do this right, it's going to hurt.
Oh yeah. I and it does hurt. I don't like Andrew's determination to impress Fletcher though. He keeps on he keeps on hitting them drums, and he keeps on doing it until he bleeds, and then he does it some more. And he keeps on doing it some more so he can be faster and faster and faster. And there's some points where I'm like, man, your hands are literally bleeding.
Hmm.
Isn't that going to affect your performance? Like, you come
Open
into class,
wounds.
you have open wounds on your
Open
hands,
wounds.
it hurts. Isn't that going to affect anything? Maybe you should, I don't know, do like 20 minutes a day. That generally is like, or an hour a day before like the how many how many hours do you have to be straight drumming in order for your hands to be bleeding? I find that to be impressive. His dedication is very impressive, but also concerning.
Yeah, but to me, like, I mean, I get it because it's showing, like you said, his dedication. But
Yeah.
like, dude, put some like super glue on your hands, like
Yeah, do
you
something.
yeah, like wear some gloves. I don't know,
Wear
like
some
there's
moleskin
yeah,
or
there's
something.
way there's ways to prevent this, easily prevent this. I think you're just wanting to show how determined you are by your hands bleeding. You know,
Fletcher, look at my hands. They're bleeding. Love me.
that means
Something.
I'm practicing.
Yeah, exactly.
Love me.
Yeah,
My one of the parts I wanted to go over real quick is when he like gets at first the audition to go into Fletcher's, group, and he's
yeah,
like so happy where he asks the girl out at the movie theater and everything's like coming up. Oh, everything's coming up, Andrew, and
yeah,
I'm like, oh, this is bad. Like this is gonna end. Even just from that point, I was like, no, this is gonna be bad. How
yeah.
positive he is.
You shouldn't be positive. I mean, you shouldn't be so hunky dory, lovey dovey. Because if you're going to be expecting, oh, I get to have nice, good feelings because I'm joined this band. No, you have to keep on doing it, dude. You have to keep on going, and Andrew is not going to. He's not going to enjoy every single aspect of his life drumming, doing it as much as he does, but at the same I again appreciate his dedication. He is so dedicated where he drums his way to getting the lead drum spot, which is fun. And it's like, oh, I did it. I'm doing it good. And then Fletcher's like, well, actually, I'm just gonna give it to this other guy instead of Andrew. And Andrew just starts freaking out. He can't have it. He's been working too hard. His hands are bleeding too much.
Hmm. Super pissed.
Yeah,
At this
it's
point,
a lot.
at this point, I think he even probably like told his girlfriend, or not even his girlfriend, the girl he was seeing, like he
Yeah,
gave this long little monologue, like, "Hey, I know this is how it's gonna be. I'm gonna have to break up with you now because eventually I'm gonna get obsessed with drumming, and you're gonna think it's your fault, but it's really not your fault, but you're gonna think it is, and so I just want to end it clean now." And she was like, "Are you fucking serious?" She's all buttered about it, but I mean, he kind of made sense. That is ultimately what was gonna happen.
I do like how dedicated he is to the point where he's breaking up with his girlfriend. He's not talking to any of his family. He's just focused on music.
Yeah.
And that level of dedication, I like a lot. That level of dedication is rewarded um during the playing of Caravan, which by the way, I have played Caravan in jazz band.
Oh yeah.
This song in jazz band specifically because it's from this soundtrack from the Whiplash soundtrack. It was actually my first exposure to Whiplash was seeing this Caravan from the
Mhm.
Whiplash soundtrack, and I'm like, "What's Whiplash?" And then my jazz teacher is like, "Oh, it's this movie that we're talking about right here and right now during this review of Tits and
Mhm.
Areolas." you know,
Yeah, this is a specific one.
yeah. So, I like the music in this a lot, and I really like the editing. The editing's pretty notable, especially during the final scene. But like up to getting up to the final scene, the editing is also pretty fast paced, and I think it really carries the story uh very well. You know?
Mhm. No, I loved how everything looked authentic. Like you know how most movies with music and stuff like that, you can kind of tell, and maybe you more so could like nitpick because you've done band, but you're like, oh, that dude doesn't look like he's playing, or this drummer is kind of off to the actual
Yeah.
music. But everything looked, at least to me, super authentic. Like the drummer, the main drummer was acting like he did.
Yeah.
The J.K. Simmons, the actor, the asshole, was like conducting authentically. You know, everything looked like everyone cared about their parts. You know.
Yeah, it does look like uh people who are into the music culture, specifically the jazz band culture, put this together, which makes me
Hmm.
very happy. Here's something that also makes me both sad and also happy at the same time. Uh, Andrew, he's on the way to a competition, and his car gets a flat, and so he's like, "Oh, I'm on my way to competition."
The
So he
bus
has
gets
to.
the bus gets a flat actually, and then that's when he gets another bus.
Shouldn't Yeah, I shouldn't have been doing a bus. No. Uh, he's on a bus. What's the
Uh-huh.
difference between a car and a bus? He gets on a bus.
Hmm.
He gets in a car to drive, but
Hmm.
like he leaves his sticks, and I'm like, oh, dude, you should have checked to see if he had your sticks. Now you're at the meet. You have no sticks. You're stickless.
Hmm.
So you have to go get your sticks, but then gets hit by a truck. Still gets his sticks. Is limping back to the practice room, injured. He's bloodied,
All
and he's
concussed,
like,
probably.
he's insisting on playing.
Hmm.
Like Fletcher's like, dude, you're literally bleeding.
Yeah, he's
You're
all, what?
literally bleeding.
You're bleeding on my drums, you piece of shit. Like,
Yeah, bleeding on my drums. Get out of here. And he won't take no for an answer because he's been going through a lot.
oh
He's
yeah.
already lost the part.
Hmm.
So security has to escort him out because of it. He's just freaking out all over the place. He's screaming like, "This is my part!" And it's like, "No, you're not. No, it's not." Uh, Fletcher assigns whose part it is.
Hmm. But now it's
So
not. That's that simple. It was your part. Now it's not.
yeah, I really like his parents' response is to be like, "Let's sue him. Let's do a sue. This is abuse happening at the school. This is not permitted. Not at all."
Very white people of him to just, hey, you know what? He did this to you. He's making you go bonkers, and he even had that other guy murder, death, kill himself.
Yeah.
Is he doing this to you? And he was like, I can't say anything. I don't want to say anything. No, come on, you could say something. And so he does. He sues, right?
Uh yeah, he even gets to the point where his parents are so insistent on or they're so insistent on suing him because he gets kicked out of the program. So
Hmm.
the school's like, "We're going to sue you. We want your job, Fletcher." And they're going after his job. And we even have Andrews just talking to the school board, giving a statement, but then like Fletcher knows who it is because he pissed a guy off. It's not anonymous. You know who did it. It's
Oh
just that
yeah.
person is like a pussy and doesn't want their face revealed. But you know who it is. Because who else could it be? You know?
It's Nandrew. No, it's like, who
It's
was it? It's
Nandrew.
Nandrew.
Oh, I wonder who that was.
Yeah.
Um, I I find it funny. I mean, it's also a little bit sad because he got him fired because of his own poor decision making skills. He got a guy fired, and
Yeah.
it's sad. That is sad, at least that part.
Well, the guy knows what I'm not saying he didn't do it like in a good way, of course, especially now. I mean, this movie was made years ago, but I can understand where he's coming from in the where hard times make harder people. Like you need to what's the word? It takes a lot of pressure on a piece of coal to make a diamond. Like
Yeah.
it takes hard work, and yeah, maybe his methods
Lots of
were
being screamed at.
yeah, his
Yeah.
methods are frowned upon now, especially. But
They're frowned upon publicly,
yeah,
but
yeah,
still used privately.
very much so. And
Yeah.
I think that brings greatness out of a lot of people. I can't say much for like musicians. I'm sure it does. And I'm sure you could say for yourself, but
Yeah.
I know in other like sports that does kind of like bring out the best in people when they're faced with
Screaming
that.
screaming at anyone in any field is a guaranteed way to get them to do better or quit.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
it it sorts out the weak and
Yeah,
brings out the people that are ready. So uh
exactly.
I don't know.
Um
I that may be frowned upon now, like I said, but I understand like he shouldn't have gone for his job. Like that's kind of fucked up.
yeah, that was really fucked up. And so Andrews quits drumming and then sees Fletcher later, a few months later.
Hmm.
He's at a jazz club. He's playing piano, and it's nice and beautiful. And
Hmm.
Fletcher invites him to, "Hey, we got an open spot for a drummer here. Do you want to come?" And Andrew's like, "Sure, I guess." And when Fletcher tells him, "Yeah, it's gonna be the same songs that we've played all the time," I'm like, "No, it's not. This is a trap."
I know. I smell revenge like so
Yeah.
quickly. You're like, oh, this is him knowing.
Yeah. So this is the final scene, and this is so iconic. This final scene, we have Andrew. He's supposed to be opening a song to a piece that he doesn't have music for, and this is so relatable because there have been times where I've accidentally left my sheet music somewhere, and I would have to have needed it, but I
Hmm.
didn't have it, and I'm like, oh shit. Oh shit. Oh, I'm fucked. And I'm like not knowing what I'm playing. And so I immediately understand the level of anxiety that he's under. And so he has to open a song. He has the opening drum solo. And he does a really bad job. And this part is really funny. He doesn't know how to play the song at all. It's such a horrible performance. Uh but here's something iconic. Fletcher and Andrew, they're just there. Fletcher's about to be like, "Oh, we're going to do Caravan." And we have freaking Andrew's like, "All right, I'm going to go right into Caravan." And he
Yeah,
just
he
keeps
goes
on doing
hard.
his big drum solo.
Hmm.
Now we have the director or the conductor or whatever. The conductor and the drummer are now having their own battle for control over the band. I'm not sure if you know this, but you got the conductor, which is important,
Yeah.
and then the next second best and most important thing is the rhythm section. Like you need a strong like metronome. Like
Hmm.
that's what usually the drums are for, bass, piano, whatever. Stuff like that.
Hmm.
So now we got the two most important things in the band fighting with each other, and I find that to be really funny because it's the editing is pretty cool. I like the whip away shots. It's like and it's like I actually know Caravan pretty well. I think about it.
No, it's
Uh,
impressive.
yeah.
I had never heard any of this music. I didn't even know it was real music. I honestly thought it was like made just for the movie. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know if it
Caravan's
was
a
real.
Caravan's
Mm-hmm.
a pretty popular jazz song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so is I don't know where it first comes from, but it was a pretty epic fight. and I liked it. And then they at the end they looked at each other in satisfaction because they gave it their hardest and they knew that they were both done. Their careers were over at this moment, so they have to give it their hardest. And oh boy, they gave it their hardest.
Yeah, it's like he gave that nod of approval, like, you know what, you fucking got it, like you passed my test, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
and you know, honestly, me seeing this movie for the first time here, I thought it was going to end with Fletcher getting the up on Andrew and then him like going and just offing himself. Like that's where I thought the movie was going to end, honestly.
That's
And
funny.
see, yeah, that's what I thought. And then seeing like this, I guess, quote unquote, happier ending, I was kind of like, oh, that's sweet. But I didn't think for a movie like this, I didn't expect that to happen. I thought it was going to be real dark, you know?
Yeah. That's I
Hmm.
mean that's the tone of the movie. It's pretty
Hmm.
dark-ish. It's
Hmm.
reality kind of. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I wouldn't it's not super dark, but it's definitely not light.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a happy ending, but it's like a satisfying ending because you know he I don't know he uh like what's the word, he impressed who he wanted to impress, I guess, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. And the very long drum solo at the end. Very impressive. I actually knew a kid in jazz band who pulled up like on YouTube the drum solo for Whiplash and would be practicing it every day. Like they would be doing the drum solo from Whiplash. So, uh,
Did
and kids love this movie.
I'm about to say, like, and you played, what was it,
Trombone.
trombone? Is that
Yeah.
like a hard part in this? Like, is there an easy part to this song or a hard part, you know, like?
Um, I mean, they're about the same equally. It
Yeah, yeah.
depends on whether you have the melody lines or if you have like harmony lines or if you have like supporting lines. I'd say the lower in register instrument you go, the easier it is. Like bass, it's just
Mhm.
bow 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 bow. It's usually quarter notes, stuff like that. It's not complicated. Versus if you have like a freaking clarinet, so there's some jazz bands with clarinets in them. If you have like a clarinet, because of the way it's made, therefore it's easy to assign really hard licks to those instruments. So, I think brass is easier than woodwind just generally.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, but it's still all
I've never
sticks.
sucked on a reed before. I don't know.
That's your next Fansley idea. You could suck on a reed.
Ha ha ha.
But yeah, no, that was Whiplash. I mean, it ends on a, you know, pretty happy tone. Again, I was
Yeah.
surprised. I thought it was going to end with him losing to Fletcher and just that was it. And Fletcher just like evilishly smiles and then that's it. It ends. But it was a good
He
ending.
cares about art. He cares about art. He doesn't want to torture people. I get that. Uh I liked it. It's a good one. As somebody who grew up in band was pretty much like a culture for me from like 6th grade to 12th grade. It was just like consumed my life. So the culture aspect, I feel it makes sense. It's accurate. I feel like Whiplash is probably the most accurate representation of like band I've seen, like
Hmm.
at a jazz band I've seen. So, what would you rate this movie?
I'd give it like an 8
You
just
give it an
cuz
8?
yeah, just cuz I and I could appreciate, like you said, not really the band sort of thing, but it was good music and I did appreciate the story of, you know, putting a person into the hardest they can be to bring the best out of them. That's relatable.
Yeah.
And everyone played their part great. I think so. The two characters, they really did. What about you?
Uh, I think I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10 as well. J.K. Simmons is very good
Oh
in
yeah,
this one. He definitely makes it. Andrew is good, um, but it's J.K. Simmons' character that makes this movie for me.
yeah. I love how he's able to. I don't know if he had that all those lines written down about R's and F's and making fun of them and all that, fat people and all that, but he was great. He was fucking great in this movie. The
Yeah,
best. But yeah, no, that was Whiplash. No, hey, great movie for any musician, but or even just for anyone, right? But speaking of the greatest, because it was all about the greatest jazz player, right?
yeah,
That's a lot of it was the point of being remembered as the greatest jazz player or one of the greats.
yeah.
I have a game here called Guess the Goat, which is
Ooh,
goat, not goats, but like the greatest of all time. Not.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I hope she doesn't want to guess goats. I feel like there's a lot of goats though,
There
like
are.
types
Hmm.
of goats. But yeah, we could check here. I'm gonna show you greatest people of all time. Do you know who this greatest person of all time is, or what he does?
Oh, UFC. I'm not familiar with any UFC dudes. I see UFC at the because the reason I can tell it's UFC because of the ring. You
Hmm.
get to two ropes, and one of them is cut off the logo for UFC. But I don't know who this guy is.
So I'm not sure if that was a UFC event, but this is Floyd Mayweather, and
Oh, that's
he,
what he
he
looks
is
like.
he is arguably, again, this is all like on people, and records and stuff, but he is arguably the greatest boxer of all time,
Oh,
having 50 wins and 0 losses.
wow. Oh, that's
Hmm.
impressive. You must work
However,
hard
however, it is argued because he picks a lot of his opponents,
for that.
so he's not really like a champion that fights any comers. He'll like pick who he wants to face strategically so he can win or something.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
smart thing to do.
yeah,
Very
I
smart.
I also agree with that.
Very smart. Next person here. Do you know who this is or what he is the
Guess the
greatest?
goat
Yeah. Do you know what he's the greatest of all time at?
war.
That is part of it. He was in a war. Do you know what he was good at in war?
What? He was a general or
So
something.
this is Simo Halha, and he is a Finland sniper, and he has over
Finland
500.
doesn't exist. Have you ever heard of that?
Is that true? No, I know it
Yeah,
exists.
Finland doesn't exist. It's a whole video and everything. It's a whole video.
I'd have to deny that because I met a lesbian. Well, I don't know if she's lesbian anymore because she kind of like was fluid in that, but she was
Yeah.
straight and then she was lesbian and then she was asexual. But she was from Finland, and boy, she was like thick,
Hmm.
like a good thick. Like I know you've got like a nice thick body, but she
Yeah.
was like she could probably hold lift me up thick, you know?
Oh,
Yeah.
like a WWE body like wrestler, women's
Yeah, but
wrestler.
still hot, but still
Yeah.
like female, you know? I did not know Finland had a whole thing about it not being real though.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. I will send that video to you.
Oh, I'll say that's a rabbit hole I gotta go down into. But this Finnish sniper, he has over 500 kills during the war they went through, Finland, and
Yeah.
he's known as the White Death.
Oh,
Yeah,
why see the White Death?
because he would hide in the snow all the time and shoot people,
Oh,
pew 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 pew.
pew pew.
And
Okay.
yeah, he was a good sniper, and I think I think like the day before the war ended, he got shot in the face, and that's why
Mm.
his face looks a little melted here because they were able to fix it up.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's nice of them. They didn't have to fix him up.
No, no, but he literally like won the war for them single-handedly, and he ended up living a good life on the farm like for
Hmm.
years.
Well,
So it's a
that's
good
nice.
story. So, yeah, it was a good story. Who is this man here, and what is he the best of?
This man is a trade broker based off of the plaid on his jacket, and he's good at trading stocks.
So, and again, this is all depending on who you ask. Apparently, this is a picture of Jack Kirby,
Oh,
the comic book artist, who is
oh, okay.
arguably, and this is when I googled it, one of the best comic book artists, right? And again, this is all on who you ask or you know generalities or whatever. But I guess he's done the most stuff, right? Jack Kirby
Yeah,
created the
yeah,
most characters on both sides of Marvel
yeah.
and DC.
That's true.
I don't know if they had 3D assets back then, but I'm sure
I
he's
wouldn't imagine if they did. You know, he did collages. He'd make like collages from photographs and magazines. You'd put them into like would be like the background of uh, comics. Some or like later in his later comics, he'd make like big old collages, and they'd be pretty cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Nah, good man. What do I have
Yes.
here? Who's next? Who's this man the greatest at?
I feel like I've seen this in a Maddox video. His face. Isn't he like the worst offender of sex?
No, well, I don't want to go that negative on here. No, he is Bernie Madoff, the biggest con man.
Oh,
Uh,
well, I knew it was crime,
yeah, yeah,
at
it wasn't a
least.
good thing. It wasn't a good thing. Yeah, you're right. You were heading down the right path. It wasn't so bad. Apparently he stole over $65 billion
Wait, how
from
do you steal
people
$65 billion?
with his Ponzi schemes and all
That's
the.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a shit ton of money. That's like war
Yeah,
money, dude. So
it's
yeah, I
more
was
money
like
than Elon Musk has.
that you could buy 1.5 Twitters with that
Yeah.
amount of money. It's a lot of money. But he's in. I think he's still alive. He's in prison now, doing prison stuff because he,
Well, that's nice.
it's always good to keep a white man
He's
safe in prison.
probably conning the guards there.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
getting what, like toothpaste for cigarettes or something, whatever they
Yeah.
trade in there. Who is this gentleman here, and what
That
is
looks like
he?
Orson Welles.
I thought
Kinda.
when I see him, I think of Nikolai Tesla because I was thinking of putting him on here too. But I think all dudes look kind of like that
Yeah.
from that era. They have that
Yeah.
same hair.
That's true.
Who do you think this dude is, and what he's the greatest at?
Um this guy is the greatest man in the world. This is he's a stock man. He does stocks. He's a
They
banking
all
man.
do look. They all do
Yeah.
look like Stockman. He is Harry Houdini, and he is
Who is that?
the greatest illusionist of all time, or magician.
Oh,
Yeah, he would do all
okay.
those. He would do all those where they put him in like a barrel and throw him off of Niagara Falls, and like all the shit that like magicians do now, where they get locked up in a thing with water. He started all that, I believe.
Oh, well, that's cool. Uh,
Yeah,
that, that's why I hear the name Houdini. It's because of this dude.
Harry Houdini.
Good
Um,
to know.
this dude here, I like this picture. Who is he? And what is he the best at?
Isn't that the Shack? Is that his name?
The Shack.
Yeah,
Oh, he's. I mean, that's
like a
close.
basketball player, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. It is a basketball player.
Oh
It
fuck.
is. He's
Oh, what
on
is his
Nike
name?
shoes.
Michael Jordan.
hmm Greatest basketball player of all time.
I don't know why I thought the Shack. I don't know.
I
Is
mean,
that
there.
is that a guy?
Yeah, Shaq is a great basketball player, and he was
Okay.
around during the same time. Again, it's all. I don't think he was as great as Jordan, but he was with like Kobe Bryant and all that, who is in the running for greatest of all time as well.
Ah, that makes sense.
I like this picture though. He's crying.
He is crying. I wonder what got him so emotional.
I don't remember. I think it was like a tribute or I don't know. I don't know. It's just a funny meme. Two more here. Who is this man and what is he the greatest at?
Who is this man? What is up with his face and hair? It doesn't look real. He looks too skinny. This is a dude. He's political man. He's good at politics.
Political man, good at
Yeah,
politics.
yeah.
This is Billy Mitchell, and especially right now, arguably, he has the highest score in Donkey Kong,
Oh,
the original Donkey Kong on arcade.
hmm.
I know right now there's a lot of what's the word? Um, what is it when they're like arguing with it in the speed running community and the record?
Contestant.
Yeah, there's a lot of arguing going on that his submissions weren't valid, and he kind of built his whole legacy off of that high score. So like he keeps trying to contest it, and it's a lot of debate in the community of like high scoring and all that.
Mm.
If he really did do that record, or if it was edited in some way, you know.
I it it would make sense that they would contest that because they're all sore losers.
And he built his whole. There's actually a whole documentary on it called King of Kong, a fistful of quarters, where him and one other dude were like going at it for the record, and he just kept
Hmm.
doing like shady shit, you know. Like I don't know, it's a fun, like you said, the whole Finland not existing. It's a whole like rabbit hole to go down to.
Yeah.
Uh, it's great. The last picture on here. Who do you think this woman is, and what do you think she's the greatest at?
She's the greatest at what's on her shirt? Are those bananas?
I think they're
What the f-
flowers.
Oh, they're flowers. Oh. She's the greatest art collector alive.
So
She's a woman. She's spending all of her money on art.
when I googled the most beautiful woman in the world, this is what it gave me. And apparently, and maybe you'll know more about this because you're an artist. According to science, her face has like a golden ratio sort of
Hmm.
look to it that's 98.7% perfect, according to science.
Wow. Who is this chick? Does she exist? Is this AI?
Her name is Jodie Comer, and she's an actress. She's done like a few TV shows, like I guess high profile TV shows. I can't remember
Hmm.
what, but according to science, her face is the most perfectly balanced, as close as it can get.
She does have a nice face. I like looking at it. It's not hard to look at.
She's pretty. She is
Yeah.
pretty, and I can't argue with math, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
can't
Whoever
argue.
whoever can argue with math, I agree.
But you know what we can't argue with, where people can find you and get a good deal for some lovely face looking and body looking needs. Where can they
Yeah.
find you, man?
Daily movie reviews every day at 7 p.m. ET on youtube.com/ASU Presents. I do movie review requests on patreon.com/ASU Presents. And help support the daily grindiness of all of them daily movies, go to this link tree. Or you can go to autisticboobs.com if that's simpler for you to hear or listen to or remember or whatever. If it's easier for you to remember, go to autisticboobs.com.
That is pretty easy.
Yeah.
No, she's go to autisticmoves.com. That's easy to remember. Her link tree's there. Me, you can find all my links here at the linktr.e/funky eskimo. I do a daily podcast called That's All Funny. Look for it anywhere podcasts are available. Do a podcast with my buddy Gabe called That's All Kayfabe. We talk about wrestling. And check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Lorenzo Arreola, or the website. My buddy does www.retrohorror.com for art or the podcast there too. But yeah, now I want to thank Min for being here. She's the greatest. I want to thank everyone for watching, listening, and if you like jazz or you don't, keep keep listening to music.